This topic isn't really something that I've seen anyone talk about before, so I don't think that anyone has ever questioned it before, but I honestly think that we should be questioning it. Because as I've thought more about Lady Noir and the circumstances of everything, the more I realized how weird and suspicious everything that happened with Lady Noir was. And so I thought, why not make a video about it? Because I think it's something that we should be talking about more. Now quickly, before I go into why I think it's weird, I think it's very important to mention a few things. First of all, I love Lady Noir and I wanted them to be together. It's not like I'm a Lady Noir hater and I'm just trying to pick at every little detail to give me proof as to why they were a terrible and toxic ship. I'm not saying that the only reasons Ladybug fell in love with Cat Noir were bad reasons. I'm not saying that she was never really in love with him, and I'm not saying that she was just using him. She fell in love with him, realized her feelings, and was even trying to be with him because she was in love with him. I don't doubt any of that. A huge part of me wants to answer this question as a yes. However, there are just a few inconsistencies and just things that are weird about what happened, and I think that it's important to mention that. But anyway, now that we have that disclaimer out of the way, I can finally get into the reasons why I found what happened with Lady Noir suspicious and weird. The first reason is because Ladybug started going after Cat Noir after he started to change and become more like his Adrian side. And it feels like Ladybug was kind of using Cat Noir as a way to run away from her feelings for Adrian. So with the first one, I think the fact that Cat Noir changed towards the end of season 4 is not really an unknown thing. Ladybug has even mentioned it before, but what I think is more important to recognize is what and who Cat Noir changed into. In Kuroneko, Cat had a pretty big realization that made him obviously start to back off of Ladybug, and throughout doing that, I think he ended up kind of changing a lot to become more of his Adrian side, whether he knew he did or even meant to or not. And so because of that change, throughout season 5, he's definitely given more Adrian vibes. I mean, obviously he's still Cat Noir, he still jokes around and everything, but he just seems a lot more like an Adrian version of Cat Noir when he's Cat Noir, if that makes sense. Which is totally fine, obviously, there's nothing wrong with that. However, like I said, I find it suspicious that around the time of Cat Noir's change is when she fell for him. As we all know, she was still in love with Adrian at the time, she was just convincing herself that she couldn't be with him because of what happened in Strike Back. And so the fact that Cat Noir was kind of becoming a little bit more like Adrian and she fell for him is kind of weird to me. It kind of means that since she couldn't be with Adrian, she fell for the person that was the closest thing to him. And that's a problem because it means that she didn't fully fall in love with him because he was Cat Noir, but because he was kind of like Adrian, the boy, like I said, she was in love with at the time. Which some people may say is fine because, Adrian and Cat Noir are literally the same person. However, there's still a different side to Cat Noir than when he's Adrian, and so if she's only falling in love with one side of him, that means she doesn't fully love him because his dorky, weird, funny side is still a part of him, and in order for her to fully be in love with him, she has to fall in love with that side too. I think the biggest lesson given in Miraculous is that you shouldn't have to try to change anything about yourself in order for someone to fall for you.
Girl, you don't see the beauty of your flaws. Your awkward gaga goofiness is what makes you special. Don't try to be someone else, be Marinette.
If they don't love you for who you are in every aspect, then clearly they aren't the right person for you and they were never truly in love with you. And Adrianette is the biggest example of that. Marinette was over there thinking that she had to change everything about herself in order for Adrian to fall for her. Meanwhile, he's over there falling in love with that specific side that she thought she had to change. But obviously that's not the case with Lady Noir because technically, if you think about it, Cat Noir had to change to become more like Adrian in order for her to fall for him, which just goes against everything that we've been taught. And so what that tells me is that Ladybug was never fully in love with Cat Noir. Oh, and also, before anyone starts yelling at me, yes, I know, I've seen truth. Cat Noir's silly side was Ladybug's favorite part of him, meaning that technically, yes, she did fully love him because she loved that part of him. However, was that side the reason she realized her feelings for him? No. So for me, it doesn't really count. In order for her to really be in love with him, that should have been the factor that caused her to realize her feelings. Like how Marinette's silly side is what made Adrian realize his feelings for her. Now for the second thing, this is actually something that Alia has mentioned before, and at first I didn't really think too much into what she said, but now that I actually am thinking about it, I can't help but agree with her.
Marinette, you find yourself a new, unavailable crush just when Adrian seems really interested in you. Don't tell me that's a coincidence. Aren't you running away from your real feelings just a little?
I'm not running away from my feelings.
You're running like you have an army of supervillains on your tail. You're lying to yourself anyway. You're in love with Adrian.
She realized she was in love with Kat and used it as a way to run away from her feelings for Adrian. I think she knew that if she was in love with someone else, it would allow her to get over Adrian. Like, having all of her focus on a different guy would probably make her focus less on Adrian, and so she would be able to get over him. And just like with the other reason, the timing is a little suspicious. If it was a case of her just kind of like falling out of love with Adrian with like no other factors playing into that, then her going after Chat Noir wouldn't have really been that weird, because it would mean her going after him didn't have anything to do with her existing feelings for Adrian. She just wanted to be with Chat Noir because she realized she was in love with him. But once again, that's not what happened. She was trying to convince herself that she wasn't in love with Adrian because she didn't think that it was safe to be. And so her going after him so quickly after that situation meant that her going after him probably had something to do with Adrian still, whether she knew it or not. That's also why I think that she seemed almost like frantic to get with Chat Noir. I don't know if she gave off that vibe to anyone else, but she did to me. But like, yeah, I think she was just so frantic because the quicker she got with someone else, like the quicker she would be able to disregard her feelings for Adrian. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think that that is like the only reason that she wanted to be with Chat Noir. She did just want to be with him because she was in love with him. However, I'm not going to deny that trying to get over Adrian wasn't a part of it. One more thing, I don't think that this really has anything to do with whether she was truly in love with him or not, but I do think that it's a fun thing to mention. I honestly can't help but feel that a lot of her feelings and actions toward Chat Noir stemmed from him actually getting over her. You know how sometimes people won't like someone until that person gets over them and then they start to like that person back? I think that that's the case with Lady Noir. I think it honestly just took him kind of distancing himself from her for her to be able to actually realize her feelings for him, which sucks because most of the time when that's the case, it ends up always being too late. And I also think that she liked Chat Noir's actions toward her a lot more than she let on to. So when he stopped, she started like reflecting his actions onto him because she missed his actions towards her, if that makes sense. Like, that's why she acted so much like Chat Noir when she was in love with him. She just like took on his persona because she loved the way he acted towards her. But anyway, so going back to the question, if you guys could not already tell, this video definitely does not have a straightforward answer. I can't tell you whether I think she was in love with him or wasn't in love with him because there are things that vote for both sides.